guys, Drew here, back with another video. Today, as you've seen in the description, I will be listing every team and checking out what their rivalry team is, basically. So, basically, what's their biggest rival against what team. So, let's get started. The first team we have is the Anaheim Ducks. I think I'm going to go with LA or San Jose, one of the Californian teams, obviously, because they're in the same state. But I think I have to go with LA on this one. The next team is the Arizona Coyotes. I don't know. The Coyotes. They have a... Obviously, they try to get a rivalry with Vegas. Arizona. I don't know really any Arizona rivalries. Like, they're just that one team. I guess I could do a little bit of Buffalo for some reason. I feel like they're one of the worst teams in the NHL besides Montreal. And they're trying to battle which team's better, so I'm just gonna go with Buffalo, I guess. Next team's the Boston Bruins. We have Montreal and Toronto. So Boston is definitely Montreal and Toronto. Basically. Obviously, Montreal and Toronto have a history with Boston since they're all three of the original six teams. The next team is the Buffalo Sabres. Let's go with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm going to choose Toronto because Buffalo and Toronto definitely have a rivalry. They will be having a Heritage Classic game coming soon. I might make a review on that video. I'm not sure, though. So, yeah, I chose Toronto for that. The next team is the Calgary Flames. The team I chose for the Calgary Flames is the Edmonton Oilers. Obviously, the Battle of Alberta, definitely a big rivalry in the NHL today. And yeah, basically, they've had a lot of history with their battles. Obviously, in the playoffs, they've had battles too. And yeah, that's why I chose Edmonton for Calgary. The next team is the Carolina Hurricanes. Ooh. I think I'm going to go with Tampa Bay on this one. Obviously, they played each other in the playoffs a couple of years ago, and they were both the top teams in their division last year. But obviously, they are two of the best, probably the best teams in the NHL. So yeah, that they're battling for number one. I'm guessing that's why I chose Carolina. Another honorable mention would definitely be Pittsburgh. Next team is the Chicago Blackhawks. I'm going to go with the St. Louis Blues for this one, and the Detroit Red Wings. They both have definitely rivalries, but Chicago has a big rivalry, in my opinion, with St. Louis. Obviously, they've had a bunch of playoff history and a bunch of fighting history, too. The next team is the Colorado Avalanche. I think I'm going to go with the Minnesota Wild on this one, or St. Louis. Or Winnipeg. I think I'm gonna go with Minnesota for the final. Obviously, they're both really good teams, so basically they're probably battling for number one seed in the Central. So I'm gonna go with Minnesota for Colorado, but there's nothing really you can do there. Next team, we have the Columbus Blue Jackets. I'm probably gonna go with Pittsburgh or Carolina on this one. I think I'm going to go with Pittsburgh, though, because obviously Columbus and Pittsburgh have a big history. Obviously, the first win in Columbus Blue Jackets history was against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So that basically they were fighting for the first round, and the Blue Jackets got their first win in playoff history. The next team is the Dallas Stars. I'm either going to go with Winnipeg or Nashville on this one. I think I'm going to go with Nashville because Dallas and Nashville have a hard playoff history. They've played each other in the 2019 playoffs and they went to 7 games. They have obviously a big rivalry in it. Next team, we have the Detroit Red Wings. The Red Wings have a lot of rivalries. I think I'm going to go, though, with the Chicago Blackhawks. I did mention them in the Chicago rivalries, but obviously since they've been split apart, they don't have bigger rivalries, but that's why they, got split up. So basically they never got to play each other much anymore, but they still are definitely a decent rivalry. The next team is the Edmonton Oilers. Calgary. They said it was Calgary. It was definitely Edmonton because of the Battle of Alberta. Edmonton hates Calgary, and Calgary hates Edmonton. That's just how it goes. The next team is the Florida Panthers. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Obviously, the Battle of Florida. Obviously, they made the playoffs last year. And that was a good series, obviously. So yeah, Battle of Florida. That's why I chose Tampa for Florida. The next team is the LA Kings. I'm going to go with the Anaheim Ducks or the San Jose Sharks. I'm going to choose both of them. I know I hold up before, but it's a two because Anaheim and San Jose. So I just because it's the Battle of California. So the Battle of California is obviously a big thing in the NHL. The next team's the Minnesota Wild. I'm gonna go with the Dallas Stars on this one. They've had a lot of playoff history, and they are just a big rivalry. Minnesota also has a couple more. Obviously Colorado and Winnipeg, and you could name a lot even. Maybe in Vancouver too. The next team's the Montreal Canadiens. We have Toronto and Boston. I chose because my least favorite team is Toronto. No offense to Leafs fans, but my least favorite team is Toronto. Then Boston, basically. But I don't like Boston either, and Montreal just doesn't like Boston and Toronto. So the next team is the Nashville Predators. I think I'm gonna go with the Winnipeg Jets on this one. Obviously they are a big. I don't. Yes, they have played in the playoffs before, and so they have some playoff history as well. Obviously they're a big rivalry too as well. The next team's the New Jersey Devils. I'm going to choose the New York Rangers and the New York Islanders. This one, obviously, they're all close together. So basically, that's why I chose New Jersey. That's why I chose the Islanders for the Rangers for New Jersey. The next team, the New York Islanders, Devils, Rangers. Obviously, they're all close together. So yeah. So I already explained it for New Jersey. Next team's the Rangers. We have the Islanders and Devils for that one. They have some playoff history too. I forgot to explain that. But when the Devils and the Rangers played in the conference finals, I believe, in 1994 when the Rangers won the cup, that was pretty big. Next team, the Ottawa Senators. I'm going to go with the Toronto Maple Leafs on this one. Obviously, the Battle of Ontario between Ottawa and Toronto. Obviously, Toronto has a lot of rivalries. Boston, Montreal, Ottawa, and then Buffalo. So that's 4. There might be more. Who knows? So that's why I chose Toronto for Ottawa. Next team, the Philadelphia Flags. I'm going to choose the Pittsburgh Penguins. Obviously, the Battle of Pennsylvania for Philadelphia. And yeah, that's why I chose Philadelphia. The next team is the Pittsburgh Penguins. Philadelphia. Obviously, the Battle of Pennsylvania. I know I've already explained this, but that's why I chose Pittsburgh for Philadelphia. San Jose. Obviously, the Battle of California, Los Angeles, and Anaheim. So those are all the 3 teams that are basically rivalries. The next team, the Seattle Kraken. There's 2 teams that are kind of, in my opinion, there's one that I think they're rivalries, and then there's another one that the NHL is trying to make them rivalries. The one that the NHL is trying to make them rivalries, you guys might know this, but it's the Vancouver Canucks. Obviously, they're close together, really close to each other. And then a team I think they're rivalries with is the Vegas Golden Knights. Obviously, 2 expansion teams, 2 of the latest expansion teams that are in the NHL. So I think they're the 2 biggest rivalries for Seattle. The next team is the St. Louis Blues. Chicago I chose because they're just really close together, I think. And their rivalries, obviously, they have a lot of playoff history. If you can go back to Chicago and you know what I said there. The next team is the Tampa Bay Lightning. Obviously, I chose Florida for this one. So basically, I chose Florida. So because of Battle of the Florida, between Florida and Tampa, obviously they made the playoffs last year for the first time ever. And so basically, that's why I chose Tampa. The Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's list off all the times. Sorry, I said teams Britishly or Scottishly or Australian-y. They all have the same accent, in my opinion, but let's move over to Toronto. So I'm going to choose Buffalo, Ottawa, Boston, Montreal, and Detroit 5 teams for Toronto. Obviously, nobody. No, I shouldn't say that because my Leafs fans will unsubscribe to my channel. But so we have 5 teams for Toronto. Obviously, Toronto hates a lot of teams. They hate most teams too. The next team we have the Vancouver Canucks. I think I'm gonna go with the Winnipeg Jets on this one. Obviously, the two Canadian teams that don't really have a big rivalry team. Obviously, Calgary and Alberta, Calgary and Edmonton, Ottawa and Toronto, Montreal and Toronto. So I think I'm gonna go with Vancouver and Winnipeg on that one. The next team is the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm going to go with Seattle Kraken. Obviously, I said Seattle for Vegas, so I'm going to say Vegas for Seattle. Obviously, I've already explained it, but they're 2 of the recent expansion teams in the NHL. So basically, that's why I chose Vegas. The next team is the Washington Capitals. I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Penguins on this one. Obviously, Crosby and Ovi are big rivalries, and then they have a lot of playoff history together. They've made the playoffs and faced each other a lot in their history, and basically they're just a big rivalry teams. Next team, the Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg has a lot of rivalries, but none of them are like big. I'm gonna go with the Nashville Predators though. Obviously I said Nashville for Winnipeg, and now I'm gonna say Winnipeg for Nashville. And basically, they've had not a lot of playoff history, but they have had some playoff history. And obviously, they have a lot of players on Nashville that came from Winnipeg, and some players that used to be on Nashville that are on Winnipeg now. So that's on my list for the rivalry teams. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you do, you can like the video. You can subscribe if you really liked it. You can follow me on TikTok. My username is Drew_3111. I obviously do my Montreal review on that channel on my account. If you guys want me to do a Montreal review, like how Montreal's doing every game, you can like the video and you can also subscribe. I will talk to you all again soon. We're on the road to 100 subscribers, baby.